When the Nets acquired James Harden last season, they hit the ground running, integrating the ball-dominant Harden into an offense that already featured Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving required virtually no time at all. Though it would take a while before the three actually shared the floor together. Harden's pick-and-roll playmaking mixed brilliantly with Irving's all-ball artistry and Durant's, everything. And the Nets steamrolled the rest of the NBA whenever those three were on the floor. That dominance hasn't yet carried into the new season though. Durant looks every bit the superstar he was a year ago, but new role players have struggled to get acclimated. Kyrie Irving chose to step away from the team, and crucially, Harden hasn't been the same offensive force he once was. Saying this may sound like a broken record at this point, but James Harden is going to have to step up his game with the Brooklyn Nets if the Nets have any hope of winning the championship. I already know what you guys are going to say. The Nets have the best record in the Eastern Conference right now, which is true, but let's look at the grand scheme of things. Do the Nets look like they did last year with Kyrie, Harden, and James on the floor? Absolutely not. I mean, to be quite frank with you, they look very beatable. They don't look like a dominant team like they did at stretches last year, especially in the playoffs. And let's also be honest here, with the Nets looking to find solutions to replace Irving's production, Harden's game has taken a hit. In particular, his ability to draw fouls and capitalize heavily at the free throw line. That's become an issue. And this comes in the wake of the league's recent officiating changes on certain foul calls. Officials are no longer blowing their whistles loosely as three-point shooters lunge into defenders in an abnormal movement for foul calls, which Harden used to do a whole lot. And so Harden has struggled to get calls on drives to the basket as well. That's a big change for the Nets. Harden ranks 14th all-time in free throws made, third among active players. But this year, his field goal attempts, three-point attempts, and free throw attempts have all been the opposite of what we're accustomed to seeing. Still, there's merit to the idea that Harden isn't the interior finisher he used to be. Last season, Harden scored 10.3 points per game on drives. That's the 7th most in the NBA. This year, that number has dropped to 5, placing him behind the likes of Franz Wagner, Josh Giddey, and RJ Barrett. His pick and roll possessions have generated just 0.72 points per play, and most ventures into the point have ended poorly. A slightly slower first step prevents him from getting the same kind of separation on his defender, and he's routinely left shots short at the rim. That's shifted a larger share of Harden's shots beyond the three-point line, where he's been a much more efficient scorer. However, an offense built around that kind of difficult shot making has struggled to score consistently. When he played in Houston, it was in the team's best interest to let Harden slow the game down, pick out a defender and attack in isolation with as many dribbles as he desired. But the Nets have more scoring and playmaking than those Rockets teams did. So one player chewing up the shot clock and doesn't provide much of a boost. The problem is that he doesn't look nearly as comfortable blending into an offense as he is controlling one. And the less effective he gets at the latter, the more important the former becomes. Harden's unwillingness or inability to make himself an off-ball weapon, either by shooting off the catch or moving without the ball, makes him far less valuable as a secondary option than a player of his skill level should be. I mean, the less potent Harden becomes as a primary creator, the harder it gets to justify his dribble-heavy style, off-ball inactivity, and poor defense. Part of these struggles, though, as with any early season trend, come down to random variants that will even out as the season goes along. But we've never seen these kinds of warning signs from Harden before. And as long as he isn't himself and Irving remains out, the Nets' margin for error on offense, once historically large, becomes ever increasingly thin. But let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.